Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are getting ready for a great weekend. Wanted to take just a couple of minutes and do a quick review of our first unit, and then also talk a little bit about leadership, and then where we're headed for Unit 2, which will actually wrap up our semester. We only have about 3 weeks left, which is crazy to think how fast it goes by. So we have looked at so far, we started the course and also started Unit 1 talking about a variety of views of professional communication, and we were specifically looking at organizational behavior. And, there's so many ways that you can look at professional communication. It's everything from writing emails all the way through what we're talking about, which is actually communication in the workplace, and looking at how our organizational behaviors contribute to professional communication within the workplace. We also looked at 9 communication axioms, which talk to us about kind of 9 key principles that we need to keep in mind when we are looking at communication in general with any relationship, but especially in the workplace. And then we also talked about a variety of models of communication which describe how the environmental factors come into the organization and impact so many different functions of the organization, from human resources through technology, through every work group in the organization reacts in some way to the environmental factors that it's exposed to, and then that in turn gives a result or an output. And so we looked at a variety of ways that you can look at that. There are many models you can consider, and you guys did a great job kind of dissecting those models that you chose and applying them in our case study. And then finally, we spent quite a bit of time talking about organizational tensions. And these are called tensions because they have to be managed, and there's a time and place for all of these things. And when it comes to professional communication, whether you're a leader or an individual contributor, we're constantly having to manage between these tensions. Secrecy and transparency. How much do we tell versus how much do we share? In the organization that I work for, one of our cultural cornerstones is transparency. We share a lot. Our company leader shares every Monday morning so much information about the company. But being in human resources and being in the people operations team, there are things that I can't share related to personnel issues, maybe things that are coming down the pipe that no one really needs to know about at the time, but may be shared eventually. So in my role, I am always trying to manage, what can I share to help people, but what do I also have to keep, somewhat secretive or somewhat private until the right time. Control and collaboration. It sounds wonderful to work in a completely collaborative environment. The company I work for is very collaborative. We work across teams, we work within our teams, but you also have to have some level of control. If you have too much just open collaboration, that could result in chaos. And so you have to have some level of control. We have policies in place, we have standards in place, we have leadership roles to help provide guidance and some control so that we're able to fully be as collaborative as we need to be. And then there's top-down versus upward communication. And in addition to these two, there's also lateral communication, there's matrix communication, there's lots of different ways we communicate. But as a leader and an individual contributor in an organization, in order to be professional, you've got to understand how to communicate both ways. There's going to be times where a top-down message is necessary. That's, a message is coming from leadership down through the organization, but leaders have to be willing to listen as well. And so a lot of that communication and feedback needs to move upward. We do a lot of surveys, great places to work survey type things, and pulse surveys of our employees because we do want that feedback. And we try to create a collaborative environment that is transparent, that allows for that upward communication. But at the same time, sometimes messages have to come from the top down. A professional communication means that we're able to balance those, and we know when we need to lean towards one tension versus the other. Now, for this week, we're looking at leadership, and specifically, and your reading focuses on so many different views of leadership. The trait approach, which says that we're born leaders, the behavioral approach that says that people have behaviors that contribute, a certain type of behavior that contributes to leadership, situational, which is you kind of vary your leadership to the people that you're talking to, transactional, which is more of just that giving and sharing of information, transformational, which is the leadership that really introduces change and wants to transform the culture. And then the charismatic, the type of leader that people just gravitate towards because they have this personality and they have characteristics about themselves that allow them to be that kind of influential and charismatic leader. There's no one right way to lead. There's so many different factors, and you, as a leader, you have to find out, what really works for you and what's going to work for the people that you lead. I tend to lean more towards the situational, transformational type leadership. Not everyone needs to be led in the same way, and I think you've got to know your people and know how they need to be led. And then I also think that leadership is truly about introducing change and helping people manage change and manage uncertainty. And that is transforming people, in some way. I think there's a place for other forms of leadership that you're going to read about this week. But you've got to figure out what works for you and what works for the people that you're leading. Now, I do a lot of work with a company called Franklin Covey, which is a different view of leadership. And I just wanted to introduce you to a little bit of it as we talk about leadership this week. So Covey says that there are 6 critical practices to a leader. One is you have to have a leader's mindset. You have to look at your current mindset and how you're viewing the situation and understand that sometimes you've got to look at things differently. They call it a paradigm shift. And I'll give you a couple of examples of that in just a minute. But the leader's mindset says that, I may be looking at this one way, but there may be a better way to view it. And I need to be willing to shift that mindset and look at the situation differently. Holding regular one-on-ones, getting feedback from your people is very important. Making sure that you set your team up to get results. That is critical. And there's coaching and delegation and so many things that you can do to help your team get results. And creating a culture of feedback. This is critical to effective leadership. And if you're holding regular one-on-ones, you're delegating to your people, then you're going to have to give them feedback on how they're doing. And we're going to talk about feedback in the last couple of weeks of this class and how to give it effectively. Leading your team through change. As I just said, one critical role of leadership is to be a change champion and to help lead your people through change and manage uncertainty. And then also making sure that you take care of yourself and you're managing your own time and your own energy so that if you're taken care of, you can better give to other people. Now, as I mentioned, this body of work focuses on a mindset shift. So a common mindset in leadership is I'm responsible for my results. A more effective mindset is I'm responsible for delivering results through other people. That's a different mindset, and you communicate with different people differently if you're looking at that you need to deliver results through those people, not talking at them, talking with them and involving them in the process and allowing them to do their job. I hold one-on-ones to check on progress. That's going down a checklist. What do you have on your calendar this week? Let's talk through everything. Okay, we're done. Instead, look at one-on-ones as a way to help people stay engaged. Engagement in organizations is critical, and you should use that time to measure how engaged your team members are within the organization. I tell my team what to do and how to do it. That is more of micromanagement. The mindset shift is I help people get clear about the why. Why are we doing this? Behind the what do we need to do? And then you support them in the how. When people understand the why, they are more willing to produce for you and to be more effective team members. I give feedback so I can fix problems. Oftentimes feedback is a way to fix the situation, but we want to give feedback to elevate the team, to take them to a new level and to help them grow. I control and contain change for my team. You can't control people's responses to change. You can't control how they're going to react, but you can be a champion within your team and show them the best way to react to the change and give them an opportunity to communicate with you about where they may be struggling with that change. I'm too busy to take time for myself. I hear this a lot in the leadership coaching that I do. Leaders have to be there for their team. They have to be there for their leader. They have to do their job. It's tough. It takes a lot out of you. But if you manage yourself, then you can be a better leader for other people. So this is just some ideas about leadership. I'm going to expand on this as we move into our final couple of weeks and we look at the individual contributor role and how that relates to teamwork and leadership. So we'll come back and revisit some of these, but I wanted to give you an introduction to them as we began to look at leadership. Now, for this week in class, let's see. So for this week, we really only have one assignment, and that's where you're going to look at this leadership grid that's in the chapter that I've assigned in the textbook Organizational Behavior. And you're going to look at this leadership grid and talk about how it relates to situational leadership theory. So compare and contrast the two. Okay, so how are they alike? How are they similar? How does situational leadership theory, how is it reflected in this leadership grid? So just write about those two. And then I want you to read this case study. This is a case study that we'll be using for the next couple of weeks. So go ahead and read it, become familiar with it, and given everything that we've talked about so far this semester, I want you to pick out, maybe the organizational model that you find present. Look at the leadership roles. Think about how the individual contributors are connecting to their leader or not connecting. And then we'll be writing on this in the coming weeks. So that's about it for this overview, this review, and this kind of overview of leadership. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm always happy to help. Thanks so much, and you guys have a good weekend.